I know the referees know the rules, and let's go out on video chat right now. Kim Murphy joins us from Winnipeg. They tell us he's sitting here probably just enjoying the stories. Good morning, Kim. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Rod. Great to be with you. Thank you for having me on this morning.
Does this all sound
And
somewhat...
I was listening very closely to that story that you just told, because I was actively involved in that game.
Okay, of course. So I knew I couldn't BS.
I don't think that was done by coincidence either.
So tell me your recollection of that and how upset Charlie Taff was in that game.
Yeah, he was not happy at all. And we understand the American rules a bit as well as the Canadian rules. But yeah, they wanted a touchback on that, and we weren't giving it to them. We were going with our CFL rules, and it goes back to the person last in possession on the field of play. And that put us back on the 1 yard line. It wasn't a popular decision, but yeah, he wasn't happy with that one.
So did you ever have to pull out the rule book and literally show the coaches, here it is, or did he just have to trust you that day?
No, we never have to do that. That wouldn't look very good on.
Well, sometimes you might have had to, but Kenny Pickett, God bless his soul, he'd be a very good friend of yours. Great guy.
Yes,
I would ask him American football rules questions, and Kenny would go, I don't know. Not my deal. I mean, do you even dabble in American football rules, or you just stay in Canadian because that's your thing?
No, I'm a fan of the NFL as well, but I'm a bigger fan of our game, of course. But yeah, there's a number of rules that I understand from the NFL's perspective as well. They have some very different ones. Like if they have multiple penalties, it seems like if they have 4 over here and 5 over here, everything's just a saw-off. So it's a bit unusual. We have to be smarter than that. We have to do the math, and we got to start doing the gazindas and subtracting and adding and find out where we're going from. And our game is a little more complicated than theirs when we're applying multiple penalties.
Kim, John Lynch here. Well, Bombers won the Grey Cup this year. You're living in Winnipeg. What's it like being a referee in the CFL and involved in so many games and living in a city like Winnipeg, which has got some passionate fans?
Well, I actually live in Southern Ontario, John. I'm in just outside Hamilton. And I'm just happened to be in Winnipeg right now visiting a friend. So that's what takes me to Winnipeg. But I mean, it was exciting for the people of Winnipeg to have their team win one. And I was quite happy for Coach Mike O'Shea.
Well, you know what? Flip that. Living just outside Hamilton, what's that like, given a 15-3 season and not bringing home the championship?
Yeah, they had an outstanding season, and they went undefeated at home. And again, talking about coaches, Coach Steinauer is an amazing person. He was an amazing player and a respectful player, and he's just as a respectful coach as he was on the field. And I felt bad for them as well. It wasn't exactly the way they wanted to turn out. I wasn't cheering for either team. As I never do. I just watch the game as a neutral spectator and just hope for a well-played game and everyone gets out of it safe and uninjured.
Well, like offensive linemen, referees don't have a lot of stats, but you have some. And for the viewers that don't know, if you wouldn't mind, with your tweet, tally up your numbers in the CFL, if you don't mind, Kim, and what went behind your decision to call it a career and hang up the whistle.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely, Rod. I have 486 games, 26 seasons, full seasons in the CFL. I've been a head referee since, with my own crew since 2009. I had refereed my first game in 2005 in Ottawa. 9 Grey Cups, 2 were standbys. My very first in 1997 in Edmonton. And then 2014 in Vancouver, which Nick remembers quite well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And it's been a great ride. I've wore 3 different logos on my chest. I guess you've been around a long time when the league changed its logo, and you've wore 3 different logos. The helmet logo, the one with kind of the maple leaf coming out of it, and our most recent logo. I also experienced 3 different Ottawa franchises and officiated all 3 of them: Rough Riders, Renegades, and now the Red Blacks. I've watched the transformation of the league change over the years too. Our stadiums, obviously right there in Regina, Mosaic Stadium, the old Taylor Field one, had some amazing games there. Probably some of the most exciting games I've ever officiated were in that park. Quite a few stories and memories from there. In Toronto, my very first game in the CFL back in 1994 was at Sky Dome, and that was between the Shreveport Pirates and the Toronto Argonauts. You see, I broke in during the American expansion, and we had teams throughout the U.S. over a period of 3 years, and Sacramento, California, San Antonio, Shreveport, Louisiana, Birmingham, Memphis, Baltimore. It was amazing. And just a little point of information, I officiated the very first All-American CFL football game in Sacramento, California. And it was between the Sacramento Gold Miners and Las Vegas Posse. And the quarterback for the Posse was Anthony Calvillo. We both broke into the league the same year. And I outlasted Anthony.
You know what?
I often remind. Go ahead.
No,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Well, our jaws are just on the floor listening to this. So continue. Go.
Yeah. So that was a very interesting game too. I might want to expand on. We used to get changed in a field house and get trucked over, literally, to a tent setup outside the stadium. And we would set up inside there and then walk over into the stadium before the start of the game. Well, it was a bit of a controversial finish. There was a pass interference call, which I can say I wasn't part of. It was a bit of a controversial call that decided the outcome of the game. And Anthony Calvillo's team, the Posse, won the game. And as we were leaving the park, naturally, we have to get back to our change facility. We load onto the back of these pickup trucks, and they're open pickup trucks. Literally, we come dressed. So as you can imagine, the fans are leaving the stadium, and they used to draw very good crowds there. And as we're leaving the stadium, we're driving through the mobs of people, and they're yelling "There's the refs! There's the refs!" And they're all running after us. And I'm thinking, what in the world is going on here? They're going to tear us apart by limb. I thought, don't fail me now, truck. Just keep your foot on the gas and let's get back to the safe field house, and we get back to a safe area. So it was a great game. It was one for the ages for sure. And to add to that story, one day I was in the league office, and Kevin McDonald from the league office was walking down the hallway, and I was coming in for a meeting as I was the president of our referees association at the time. And Kevin's walking with a helmet in each hand. And I'm going, Kevin, what are you doing with those helmets? He goes, oh, I'm just throwing them away. I'm cleaning out my office. And I'm thinking, did you lose your job? But no, he didn't lose his job. He's just clearing out some clutter. And coincidentally, the 2 helmets he was carrying was the Sacramento Gold Miners helmet and the Las Vegas Posse helmet. I says, may I have those helmets? And he gave them to me. So it was pretty special.
Wow. I told you guys the refs have the best stories. But, going way back to that 2014 Grey Cup, I think this is the quintessential ref story as far as I'm concerned. We all know how the game ended, the block to the back on Larry. Who was the kid? Was it Taylor? Taylor Reed. On the return for Brandon Banks. So the Ticats were wild. And I don't need to tell you who with the Ticats said to me, the referees, we got high school reffing in this CFL. That cost Ken Austin a $100,000 bonus. And I said, was it a block to the back? Well, yes, but they'd been letting it go all game long. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And you called it by the rules. You know what I mean, Kim? Like that was probably the most controversial ending, save for 2009, which I might remember, of a Grey Cup ever. Right?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't change anything.
We, as an official, we hate to see a game end and impacted by a call we make. But Rod and everybody else there and everybody listening needs to know, and you know this, we still have to officiate the game within the rules. And if a player takes advantage or is gaining an advantage or does something illegal that meets the billing of a standard call, then we have to make that call. We're put into that position. And the people that make the call in those circumstances, under those pressures, those are good officials. And you know what? Coach Austin, he needs to look at the play and judge it accordingly, right? So we can't say, yeah, we let it go. We didn't call it here. We called it here. But if it's a call it's made, we have to make split-second decisions. We can't think about it. You know, we don't have the advantage of replay on the spot. We have to make a decision and make a call one way or the other. And I've accepted in my career, I'm going to be 50% right and 50% wrong. And unfortunately, that's the way it goes. Yeah, it was a sad one. I was the backup referee standing on the sideline, and I coincidentally was just on the sideline off the end of the Hamilton bench when Banks went running down the sideline. And then I looked back and I saw the flag on the field. And all I'm hoping and praying for is that we've got a good call.
And it was.
It was a good call.
It
was right at the point of attack too. Like that guy makes he makes that tackle right there. If he doesn't make the tackle, Banks has to really bubble. But to give him just a free run, he's going to outrun everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Are you? What are the questions you're getting since you're retiring, Kim? I assume one is, are you going to miss it? What's the reaction been since you announced your retirement?
Yeah, let me first tell you that the reason I'm retiring, I didn't answer your question, Rod, earlier with the long drawn out stories that I threw out there at you. The league's going in a bit of a different direction with the officiating staff. I have been around a long time. I felt I still have a little bit of time left, and I would like to kind of decide my own exit strategy a little bit, but they made my decision a little bit easier, knowing that they are going in a bit of a different direction with some newer blood at the head referee position, and they've got some younger guys ready to go, and I can understand that too. So they're moving forward with that plan, and I wish them well. And we've got some great officials that do just a marvelous job. So that's kind of the reason why I was stepping away from the game.
Well, I'll tell you what, our viewers are writing in like crazy, and if you go back and watch this replay, you'll see the comments. I don't know what your future plans are in terms of staying in the game, but would you consider coming on here a somewhat regular spot, sort of like Kerry Fraser did on TSN, to be our referee rules guy, our Mike Pereira, if you will? Would you consider that, Kim? You don't have to give me an answer now.
That's always an option. I have a full year off to just get physically healthy and mentally healthy. In my real profession, I'm a fire captain in Hamilton, and I experienced kind of a bad situation earlier this year. I almost lost my life, but I just need some time to recoup and get well. That's all. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what.
But that's always a possibility. You never know.
It's a standing offer from us. Standing offer, Kim. You know where to find us. It's not that hard. So I appreciate the time, and I feel like we just kind of cracked the lid on those stories. There's a few more to come.
Oh, there's lots. Yeah, I've crossed some great players, experienced so many firsts. Like Louis Pasaglia, I signaled his last 3 points. He's the all-time leading scorer in the CFL history. I signaled his last 3 points in the 2000 Grey Cup game. I met Johnny Unitas in Baltimore, got his autograph, shook hands with him, maybe one of the all-time greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. I was on the field with Anthony Calvillo, broke his passing record of almost 80,000 yards professionally. Like, that's amazing. I was the very first referee to connect with Jake Ireland in the command center from Ivor Wynne Stadium when we did the inaugural replay in the command center back in 2009. In 2008, and I know Nick remembers that game very well, the Grey Cup game. That was Jake Ireland's last game. I grew up admiring Jake Ireland. I broke into the league in 1994, but I started refereeing amateur football in 1979, and that was Jake Ireland's very first year in the Canadian Football League. And I always admired him. We were from the same association. And to work his last game in a Grey Cup, and then I adopted his crew the following year in 09, and then, you know, connect with him in the command center on replay so he could carry on his career. You know, he had, I believe, almost 600 games as an on-field official. Well, he's got over 600 games in the command center. That's a pretty amazing career.
No kidding, and lucky for him that he can continue it. Maybe that's in your future too. We should run, Kim. This has been awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rod. Yes, go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was saying, oh, you got a lot to say, so let's do it again soon, man. So happy retirement. Get everything set, and we'll be in touch here in the spring. How's that?
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and have a great day. And I enjoyed that very much.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.